tell the truth. When I look at you with the eyes of my heart, you are, every single one of you, so beautiful, so precious. But I see, too, the ways that life has changed your shape, the way loss and grief carve holes in your soul, the way expectations pile up on you until you bend so far it feels like you can't help but break. The way disappointing circumstances force you into a form that rubs and chafes in places. The way stress builds up until everything explodes. The way sometimes everything you thought was real and true and reliable turns out not to be, and life just shatters. I see it because sometimes I have the privilege of supporting you during rough times, but I see it even when you haven't yet entrusted me with your story. I suppose it's possible I'm projecting, but it seems to me that this is just what it means to be human. There is in each of us something pure and true and whole and good, and that something gets pretty beat up over time. Now don't get me wrong, we are so resilient. We're not resilient like a rubber ball that bounces back to the exact same shape. We are resilient like trees or ecosystems. These terrible things happen, and we integrate them. We find a new, true and pure and whole and good shape that somehow makes room for those terrible things. It's amazing. It's amazing what we're able to do. But sometimes it gets exhausting. I have moments where I really want to scream at the universe, all right, already, can I be done? Can I please just be done with the changing and the learning and the integrating and all of that? You know what the universe always answers? You're done when you're dead. But seriously, there are moments, blessed moments, sometimes only a breath or two long, when I'm able to come back to a sense of peace, a sense that I'm enough, a sense of ease and of stillness, a fresh start, a pause, a return. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to what you are, return to who you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again, return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. You know, for years I believed that song was a pagan chant, but it turns out that it was written by Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, known as the Singing Rabbi. Born in Germany, he escaped to the United States with his family just before the Holocaust in 1938. He came from a long line of rabbis, and he was expected to follow in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. That was the shape that was decreed for him. But although his scholarship was formidable, Carlebach felt called to a different sort of life. He became a practitioner of what he called musical Jewish outreach, melding the principles of his faith and simple, repetitive folk music tunes. In the original version of the song, the Singing Rabbi invites people to return to the land of their soul rather than the home. Now, we changed it when we put it in our hymnal, and I think it's actually a fairly telling change. A home is a place where, if you choose, you may live by yourself. A land, though, a land is populated. The land of our soul ancestors, filled with the members of our tribe. The land of my soul is peopled by my Unitarian Universalist ancestors, each of them flawed and imperfect, but also offering bits of wisdom or insight that help you figure out how to be human. It's inhabited by the ghosts of generations still to come, the ones who will inherit the messes that we've made. While ancestors and ghosts are all well and good, though, the relationships that are most transformative are with people who are wearing skin. When I return to the land of my soul, I'm returning to a place where I'm defined in part by my relationships. And this makes sense to me because our resilience, that wondrous resilience that I was talking about, it lives in our relationships. Maybe not exclusively. Some problems we're able to figure out on our own, but the big problems, the one that stump us, we need our friends to get us through these. One person brings the problem and dumps it out in all its complexity, plop, in the middle of the room. The other person or people listen, ask questions, refrains from giving advice or trying to fix things. There's no judgment. And the listener also believes with their whole self in the speaker's ability to figure this out, and the speaker's innate resilience. And over time, not the whole answer, but the one small thing that needs to be done that will lead back toward healing crystallizes from that pile of plop in the middle of the room. When we lose our way, we find our way back most often with the support and love and witness of people who we trust enough to show our brokenness. When we fall, we get back up because someone reached out a hand. We can return to who and what we are and where we are, to that land of our soul, when we're called back to ourselves by our community. Now, hope also lives in our relationships. On our own, we're pretty much subject to the biases and selfishness that come with our biological nature as tribal omnivores. We divide the world into us and them, and we're concerned more with the survival of us than the well-being of those who aren't part of our tribe. Luckily, who we are in any given moment isn't purely a factor of our own internal sense of ourselves, but the context in which we live. There's this network of accountability that holds us in all we do. We are held accountable by our people, and we have the right to hold others accountable in return. Now, accountability is a bit of a buzzword these days. It's hard to know exactly what it means. My colleague, Wayne Artisan, writes, critical to moral decision-making is the question of accountability. Accountable can mean both responsible to and responsible for. It means ownership of my own behavior and the fact that I can be asked to account for my own behavior to others. There's a spiritual leap involved here. When we're accountable for it all, we challenge the most important barrier that makes us believe in us and them, in me and everything else. In a world that's determined by overlapping cause and effect, in a world in which there's a complex interdependence, the moral web of accountability is critical to our understanding of what it means to live a religious life. This moral web of accountability is what drives our personal and collective social evolution. This is how we learn to be better humans. We allow ourselves to be held accountable, and we hold accountable those who have caused us harm. So what do you do when someone tells you that you've caused them harm? One natural and normal reaction is to get defensive. I didn't mean to hurt you, I didn't know any better. How could I be expected to know any better? People who are in wheelchairs point out that hints with language around standing and walking make them feel excluded, and worship leaders respond, well, it's just a metaphor, get over it. Then there's the old saying, the best defense is a good offense. Colin Kaepernick kneels to bring attention to racism within the legal system and gets accused of being disrespectful to veterans. Or a person brings attention to language that perpetuates the gender binary and is accused of being too sensitive. Or people start using politically correct as an insult. Why would politically correct be an insult? There's another normal and natural reaction to being held accountable that's equally unhelpful. We can decide, when told we've caused harm, that we are bad. We can take the mistake as proof that there's something inherently wrong with us. The skillful response, the one we aim for, is gratitude and humility, curiosity and responsibility. When someone gives us the gift of holding us accountable, when they're brave enough to tell us what we've messed up, the proper response is thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. We've got to start there. Then we shift to humility and curiosity. People do. We weren't made to be perfect. We mess up all the time. Being human is hard, and life is complex, and none of us do it right all the time. Each mistake offers us an opportunity to understand a different person's perspective. It's a chance to learn, a chance to get a little bit better at this. And last, we take responsibility for the harm we caused. We apologize. We ask if there's a way we can make amends. And perhaps most importantly, we commit to do our utmost not to make the same mistake again, which doesn't guarantee we won't. But still, we have to do our best to try. Now, our world, we know, won't be saved by a single hero. If it worked that way, we wouldn't have any of these problems. So many bright lights have done their utmost to show us the right way to be human. But there isn't a right answer, writes Lynn. There just isn't. The game show where the bells ring and the coins go up and confetti falls because you got the answer is a lie. The preacher who would assure you of how to attain salvation is making it all up. Hope lives in this messy process of making mistakes and being held accountable and then doing just a little bit better until we find new mistakes to make. Every choice will wound someone, heal someone, build a wall and open a conversation. Things will always happen that you can't foresee, but you have to choose. When in doubt, tell the truth. Let me ask you this. How many people do you have in your life who love you enough, who you trust enough to tell them who you really are? A Jewish folktale has a rabbi describe a true friend as someone in whose presence you can think aloud without worrying about being taken advantage of. A true friend is someone who suffers with you when you're in pain and rejoices in your joy. A true friend is someone who looks out for you and always has your best interests in mind. In fact, a true friend is like an extension of yourself. How many people here have at least one true friend? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
4 or 5? 10? More? See, here's the thing. Real relationships, deep relationships, take time to develop. Even casual relationships are a draw on our attention and time. Human beings are hardwired actually to max out at a certain point. As individuals, most people maintain approximately 12 relationships in our inner circle, and that includes our partners and family members. Meanwhile, in today's society, it's extremely rare for people to stay in one place for their whole lives. Friends move away or find new interests, and the next thing you know, you're lonely again. One tension that we have to live into is the reality that we can only maintain 12 of these deep relationships at a time, and yet we have to be willing to have some fluidity in terms of who we form those relationships with. Our small group ministry program exists to create a safe and loving container in which we can just practice being human together. Each group has 6 to 12 people who've covenanted, who've promised to both tell the truth and to hold one another's truths without judging or fixing. How many of you are already in a small group? There's sign-up sheets in the foyer if you're not in a group, but you'd like to be. Hope lives in relationship. Resilience lives in relationship. Accountability and the possibility for evolution and learning lives in relationship. Relationship is what this community offers as a path toward healing ourselves and the world. The world we dream of, the world that is worthy of our children, is not made up of people who have found the one right way. It's made up of people who have each found their unique and true expression of humanity. There's many ways to be human as there are humans. I don't know why it's set up that way. It'd be much easier and more efficient if we were mass-produced and came with an instruction manual, subject to QA instructions and able to be recalled in case of malfunction. What can I say? I'm married to an engineer. But we're people, not blenders. When in doubt, tell the truth. When I look at you with the eyes of my heart, I see the ways that life has changed your shape, the way loss and grief have carved holes in your soul, the way expectations pile on you until you bend so far you feel as if you almost can't help but break. The way disappointing circumstances force you into a form that rubs and chafes, the way stress builds up until everything explodes, the way sometimes everything you thought was real and true and reliable turns out not to be, and life just shatters. But I also see that you are wise and capable and glorious, able to find and fill that unique U-shaped hole in creation, able to return again and again to wholeness and integrity. I see the gifts you bring, the wisdom you embody, the strength you sometimes forget you have. I see every one of you, so beautiful, so precious. So be it, and so may it be.